Hey guys, what's up? It's me, the Gaming Spinosaurus, and today we will be ranking all the Star Wars movies from worst to best. So, let's get right into the video. Today is May the 4th, so happy Star Wars Day, everyone. Star Wars is one of the best franchises ever. It has brought me so much enjoyment and fun. So today, for this special occasion, I will be rating and ranking all the Star Wars movies from best to worst. Before I do that, we're going to go over the Star Wars saga as a whole, talk about the different parts of it. The music for these films is amazing. 90.9% of the time the music fits the tone of the scene perfectly, and most of the time the tone and the atmosphere the movie is trying to portray is amplified by the music in the background. For example, in A New Hope, when Luke stares at the twin suns, this whole idea of Luke always looking to the horizon is a big theme in the saga. This saga keeps bringing up, and the way the music swells in the background further amplifies the idea of the hope that Luke brings, as well as the idea that Luke longs for adventure. The scene is one of the best in Star Wars, and it comes down to the music. These films aren't exactly well known for their writing. Usually writing in these films is either atrocious, mediocre, or incredible. There's not much in between. For example, in the first half of The Attack of the Clones, the writing is horrible. Anakin and Obi-Wan's dialogue is stupid, cliches, and silly. Then compare that to Empire Strikes Back, when Vader and Luke are fighting in Cloud City. The dialogue is building the relationship between these characters, as well as highlighting that Vader is just toying with Luke, as well as highlighting how juxtaposed these characters are. When these movies have good writing, it's good, but when these movies have bad writing, it's bad. I know nothing about acting, so for this segment, I'm going to hand over to my good friend Josh. Take it away, Josh.
Alright, welcome lads, I'm Josh Evans, and you may be wondering, what does this tubby teenager with shit hair know about acting? Well, not much, but Jack doesn't know anything, so I'm pretty much the best he's got. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the acting from Star Wars. So I've been put on a pretty tight schedule, so I'm going to be covering who was good, who was bad, and my favourite scene acting-wise in Star Wars. So first, we'll start with someone who did do well was Liam Neeson playing Qui-Gon Jinn. He did very well at portraying the feelings his character would be thinking through facial expressions and body language. He did pretty well as a one-movie character. Now, we're going to talk about someone who didn't do so well. Can someone tell Daisy Ridley that opening her mouth in a funny way every 17 seconds isn't good acting? I genuinely don't know how, of all the actresses who must have auditioned for Rey, they just went with funny facial expression women. Anyway, for my last point, I'm going to talk about my favourite scene in Star Wars, acting-wise, and that's when Obi-Wan goes to tell Padme about Anakin turning to the dark side. Both Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman did very well and really made me and most other people feel pretty sad, which is impressive. Anyway, that's going to be it for my segment. Do remember that all the things me and Jack say are our own opinions, so if you disagree, try not to call us stuff, and leave your own opinions in the comments so Jack gets pushed further up in the YouTube algorithm. Anyway lads, enjoy the rest of the video and subscribe to Jack. He's put a lot of effort into it and deserves it. I'll see you later, bye bye.
Thank you very much for appearing in the video, Josh. Go check him out, link in the description. He helped so much with the making of this video. Finally, after going through the core things about these movies, let's get to the actual ranking. This is where the fun begins. Many of you won't be surprised by this choice, and many of you will agree with me. Before rewatching these movies over the past few weeks, I can honestly say this is the one I remember the least. After rewatching it, I realised why. This movie is so boring. For example, the first chase scene on Coruscant, where Anakin and Obi-Wan are chasing after the bounty hunter who attempted to kill Padme. This scene should be very tense, it should be really gripping, and you should be on the edge of your seat. But the scene instead drags on for about 5 minutes, and by the end, I was just begging for it to be over. It's the same thing with the scene in the Geonosian droid factory, which tried to build tension by almost killing off characters and failed miserably. The droid factory scene also dragged on for far too long, which made me feel bored of the film as a whole, and I lost interest pretty quickly. The next thing I dislike is the acting and writing, especially for Anakin. The first act of the movie, Anakin is really creepy towards Padme, and it genuinely made me question if Anakin should be assigned to protect her. Speaking of Anakin and Padme, their relationship is really underdeveloped and feels unrealistic. The only good scene between them that builds chemistry was the one on Naboo where they frolic in the grass. On the other hand, Obi-Wan Kenobi's side plot was interesting as it introduced something new to the Star Wars universe, cloning and clones. The Geonosian arena scene where all the Jedi fight the monsters is really cool, and I like that a lot. Then there's Count Dooku. I like his character and think he's cool, but he's so oddly placed in this movie. I'm almost certain that they were planning to make Darth Jar Jar a thing, but he was poorly received, so Dooku got shoved in. However, the ending lightsaber fight between Dooku and Anakin, plus Obi-Wan, then Dooku vs Yoda, is really cool and is honestly one of my favourite parts of the film. However, one thing I disliked heavily was the CGI. They vastly overused CGI in this film to the point of it being laughably bad. I literally laughed out loud at some of the stupid CGI. In conclusion, though this movie has its moments, the film is heavily flawed with bad writing, acting and special effects. I give it a 4 out of 10. Go. This movie is so generic. It's got a generic villain with a generic plot to find a generic MacGuffin so they can stop a generic villain's plan. It is so by the books and safe that it's annoying and boring. First, let's start off with the elephant in the room, Palpatine. They don't explain his return in the film at all, and it's a big part of the movie. And no, I will not be counting the novelization and how it cleared up some of the problems, because you shouldn't have to literally publish a book to explain your film. His return also undermines Anakin's redemption arc, because the whole point of Anakin's redemption arc was he's supposed to kill Palpatine and bring balance to the Force, and Palpatine's just returned 30 years later. Then they completely forget about the First Order and introduced a new regime. Then they just straight up repair Kylo Ren's helmet, ruining a great character moment that happened in The Last Jedi. They also retcon one of the best of the versions of The Last Jedi by making Rey a Palpatine, which is stupid. I don't like it. Then they straight up have the audacity to end the film by Rey calling herself a Skywalker. This should have been Ben. Ben should have died killing Palps. Then Rey force heals Ben, bringing him back to life. Then when Ben Solo calls himself a Skywalker, he's actually a bloody Skywalker. My god, I hate that ending. It's so dumb, and I hate it. Sorry about that small rant, I've been holding that in for a little while. By far my favourite part of the film is Kylo Ren's redemption, and the best scene is where Han returns and gives Ben a final push back to the light. That scene is truly amazing. I dislike how this movie has no stakes though, as there is 4 fake out deaths. The movie also has terrible pacing, a stupid time to try and add tension, which doesn't work by the way, and every moment this film tries to shove fan service down your throat. When this movie is good, it's really good. The scenes are phenomenal, but the rest of the time it's boring, predictable and sometimes straight up stupid. 5 out of 10. The Last Jedi is probably the most controversial Star Wars movie ever, and I can honestly say I don't know whether I like it or not. Half the film is really good and enjoyable, whereas the other half of the film is stupid and annoying. For example, the Luke and Rey story is really interesting, apart from the bloody green alien milk scene, but that doesn't exist, and leads to Kylo and Rey bonding, which is really cool and creates a very interesting dynamic between the main villain and the main hero. As well, the story leads to the scene where Yoda comes back, which I really like and think is awesome. However, the other half of the story, and most of the story with the Resistance, is stupid. I dislike Holdo as a character. She literally has no reason to hide her plan from the entire of the Resistance. It only means people won't trust her and that Poe will do something stupid, which she ends up doing. Then there's the counter-bite scene, which has the audacity to try and teach Finn, the ex-kidnapped child soldier, brainwashed child soldier, that war is bad. Finn does not need to learn that war is bad. He knows war is bad. Rose shouldn't be teaching Finn the ex-brainwashed child soldier that war is bad. The sequence in Crate was mostly interesting, well done and cool, apart from the bit where Rose saves Finn, risking both their lives and the very resistance itself, also so she can tell him to save what he loves, which is what he was doing. They then kiss despite having no chemistry. My favourite part of this movie is when Kylo and Luke fight, which is full of cool dialogue and an interesting character dynamic between the two characters fighting. In conclusion, half the movie sucks, the other half of the movie is really good. So, 5.5 out of 10. Many people won't agree with this ranking, and to be honest, I don't care about your opinion. This movie is mainly here because of the ironic enjoyment I get out of watching this movie. This film is so unintentionally hilarious. Let's be honest, all the politics, senate and trade route scenes are so boring and uninteresting. The pod racing scene, while cool and tense at the start, dragged on far too long and lost its tension pretty early on. However, the Duel of the Fates scene is the best thing about the film by a long shot. The choreography is incredible, the tensions are really high, and Darth Maul's so badass. I don't really have too much to say about this film. It isn't the most riveting thing ever, but I still love it despite its flaws. 6 out of 10. This film is by far the best in the sequel trilogy. It showed that there was potential for them to make this series good, but then they kind of screwed up because they didn't plan the films well. To be honest, they didn't plan the films at all, but that is a completely different topic for a completely different video. If you guys want to see that, smash like and subscribe. The film itself is shot well and competently written, unlike other Star Wars movies, with good characters, a good villain, good action, and an interesting premise. But why is this movie so low on the list if all I can do is praise it? The main reason is nostalgia baiting. This film tries so hard to manipulate you into loving it using nostalgia, even if the nostalgia goes against characters' arcs in previous movies. It just kind of resets the characters in a way. Like, Han and Leia are apart for some strange reason, just so they can have a nice reunion. Chewie and Han get separated from the Falcon so they can have a nice reunion with the Falcon. They deliberately force nostalgia down your throat if you like the characters. I despise the uses of nostalgia in movies. All the other parts of the movie is great basically, but nostalgia baiting is one of the worst things you can do in a film. So because of this and some other minor and major flaws, this movie gets a 7 out of 10. Solo is a fun film. It's enjoyable, comedic, and interesting. I don't think anyone was really expecting this film to be good, and a lot of people unnecessarily hated it, especially because it was the next film after The Last Jedi, and they released Solo for some reason around the same time as Infinity War, which is basically just setting it up to fail from day one. But I really enjoyed Solo and loved how it got to be its own movie without having to worry about setting up another film or being connected to other films. The film explores parts of the galaxy which haven't been seen before in movies or TV shows, as well as fleshing out Han and Chewie. I really like criminal underworlds in movies. I don't know why. Criminal underworlds are just so cool. Beckett is a really cool character who is really interesting in something completely different. I also love Maul. The appearance is foreshadowed well. Like, I know some people don't like it, but I'm a sucker for Maul. Maul is so cool. I have a few problems with the film, including how they try to manipulate you into liking characters, which is what they do an awful lot actually. Apart from that, and some other small problems, the film is really cool. 7.5 out of 10. Rogue One is the best film to come out of Disney Star Wars, in my opinion. It's a very interesting movie which, like Solo, is something completely different to any other movie. I really like all the characters in this movie, and it's the first movie appearance of Saw Gerrera, who is a cool character from Clone Wars / Rebels. I also like how depressing this film is. I don't know why, but the depressing tone coupled with the character deaths that happen just really highlight how dangerous and sad war is. As well as doing that its own thing successfully, it managed to set up A New Hope by showing why Leia was the one who was sent to find Kenobi, how the rebels got the Death Star plans, and most importantly, why there was a huge flaw in the Death Star. As well, it gives us the coolest Vader scene, where he decimates rebels as if they were nothing, showing off his ruthlessness and how powerful he truly is. While this film is mostly really good, my biggest problem is how much is going on. Although a lot of the characters are handled well, the sheer amount of characters there are and the sheer amount of things going on can sometimes lead to characters having nothing to do or being underdeveloped, and can sometimes overwhelm you, and not in a good way. Because of this, the film gets a solid 8 out of 10. I still believe it's the best film to come out of Disney Star Wars. Return of the Jedi is an amazing conclusion to the prequel original trilogy. The dynamics between the characters in this film are well done and make the film even better. Luke is badass and clearly powerful. I like how cool he is. I enjoyed most of the film and how it focuses on fighting in the Battle of Endor, which is always cool. I love space fights. Some of the special effects in this film are really good and hold up to today's standards, while other bits are laughably bad. I mean, I literally laughed at the speederbike chase with Luke and Leia. God, that is some terrible CGI. My favourite character in this film is actually Emperor Palpatine. He's so cold and calculating. He's always in control. He always knows what's happening. One of my least favourite parts of the film is Ewoks. The Ewoks are really annoying at some points, as well as silly, and the way they dispose of stormtroopers as if they were nothing kind of hurts this film's serious tone. I really like Yoda's death scene, and I like how he's accepted his death. He is 900 years old. But my favourite part of this movie is Anakin's redemption. The fight between Vader and Luke is tense and exciting. Then when Vader kills Palpatine and Anakin returns, it's so cool. Then there's the part where Vader takes off the mask, accepting his death, and his last wish is to look upon his son with his own eyes, which is so heartwarming. That is the moment Vader comes into the light. Anakin returns when Vader takes off the mask. That's Anakin, and I love that. Then Luke's refusal to leave the Vader behind makes the scene so lovely, and I love it. As well, the final shot of the movie being Yoda, Obi-Wan and Anakin standing together is so awesome, showing how Anakin has finally come back to the light. In conclusion, this film gets 8.1 out of 10 because I believe it to be a little bit better than Rogue One, but not as good as the next film on the list, which is A New Hope is the one that started the entire Star Wars franchise. It's such a good film with amazing characters, amazing villains, amazing special effects that still hold up to today, as well as having amazing music. Let's start off with the characters and actors, who are amazing. They all have great chemistry and good motivations, and they all change in line with their motivation and their chemistries with other characters. The one problematic character is Mark Hamill as Luke. Here he comes off as whiny, and Hamill's acting isn't the best, especially when compared to acting giants such as James L. Jones, Alec Guinness and Harrison Ford. All S-tier actors who are at the top of their game. Speaking of James L. Jones, Darth Vader is so menacing in this film. He's ruthless, cruel, incredibly badass, the same traits that Grand Moff Tarkin has, another S-tier villain, despite only really appearing in one Star Wars film. As well, this movie excels at creating a good story with amazing world building, which is a testament to the writing team. In conclusion, despite a few flaws, this film is very amazing and a great start to the Star Wars universe, so it gets an 8.5 out of 10. Number 2 is Revenge of the Sith is amazing. It's clearly the best of the prequel trilogy and my second favourite Star Wars film. I believe this film to have the best choreographing in Star Wars, as well as one of the best lightsaber duels, that being Battle of the Hearts, also known as Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin Skywalker. First, Obi-Wan and Anakin's chemistry is really good and it helps sell their relationship. You can tell they care about each other, but it's also through their relationship that you learn that Anakin's fatal flaw is that he'd do anything to save the one he loves. He literally goes against all his training to turn to the dark side just to save Padme from dying in childbirth. But my favourite character in this film is Sheev. Sheev manages to manipulate Anakin slowly into trusting him, as well as manipulating the Jedi Council into putting Anakin on the Council but not making him a master, which makes him more disillusioned with the Council. God, I just said the word Council far too many times. Sheev also manages to manipulate the Senate into thinking the Jedi are evil, as well as manipulating Dooku into only toying with Anakin and letting him win their duel. I still genuinely believe Anakin genuinely beats Dooku. I still think Anakin is more powerful than Dooku in that moment. As well, Palps is shown to be incredibly powerful, taking on 4 Jedi at once, one of them including Mace Windu, and almost winning, as well as fighting Master Yoda, the most powerful Jedi, literally the Grand Master of the entire Jedi Order, to a draw. Anakin's turn to the dark side seems genuine, as he originally only wants to save Padme, but like Yoda says in Empire, once you go down the dark path there's no coming back, and once Anakin goes down, he's slowly enveloped by it till he can't stop. I also adore Obi-Wan versus Anakin, and I think it's an amazing fight. The choreographing is so incredible, it highlights how amazing fights can be. At this point in the story, Anakin and Obi-Wan are equals power level, and I love how Anakin is only defeated by his arrogance, the downfall of many Sith including Sheev and Snoke, who technically are the same person but I can't be bothered. Well, I also firmly believe that Anakin died on Mustafar, and from that point forward until the Return of the Jedi, he is Vader. So in conclusion, apart from an overuse of CGI and some lackluster dialogue and writing, this film is amazing, so I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. That means my favourite Star Wars movie is, probably all guessed, if you have common sense. Many of you will probably predict this one would be first because I'd say it's most people's first choice. I love this film to bits. It has an incredible writing, characters, character arcs, villains, and an incredible plot, and it builds the world in ways that fit well with the universe created. First of all, in my opinion, none of the actors in this film pulled in a bad performance. As well, the chemistry between characters is somehow better than in New Hope, something I didn't think was possible. Not only that, but I think that the character relationships are amazing in this one, especially the growing relationship between Han and Leia. This relationship led to one of the best scenes in the entire Star Wars, the I love you, I know scene, which is the most in-character thing for Han to say when someone says I love you to him. Just, I know. Then there's Luke, who visits Yoda, a new character for this film. Yoda is wise, powerful, and actually surprisingly funny at some points. The return of Obi-Wan is really cool as well, and I love that he fits into the story. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the duel on Bespin between Luke and Vader. This duel is so awesome. It may not be as tightly choreographed as the prequel trilogy, but I'd argue it's better because of that. The way that it shows off Luke's power, and you think he has a chance to win, and then it completely subverts that, and Vader just completely beasts him and slices off his hand. I think that this fight is so amazing because of the reveal it leads into, but I also think the fight can stand on its own without the reveal. It leads into Vader revealing that he is his father, which is the most shocking reveal in the entire Star Wars. Don't care what you say, I will always have that opinion. This helps develop Luke, who now believes he has to kill his own father to bring balance to the Force. This also develops Vader, as he's no longer a mustache-twirling villain. He now has depth, as we know he's a fallen Jedi seduced to the dark side by Sheev. I also want to add that the Hoth scene at the start with the ATSTs is so cool. I love how the rebels take them down by outsmarting them and not using brute force to blow them up. So, in conclusion, this is my favourite Star Wars movie. It's the one I get the most enjoyment out of watching, it's the one I feel the most tension while watching, and that's the one I'm the most emotionally connected to. For that reason, I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. Yes, it's as good as The Incredibles. So, that's the end of the video. And I want to say, To all of those you who like Star Wars, happy Star Wars Day. Now, this video was just my opinion, right? You're entitled to your own opinion if you have it, but please don't hate on other people's opinions. It's just wrong. Okay? Good. If you want to share your personal ranking in the comments, do that. I'd genuinely like to see what movies you put first, what movies you put last. But, if you like the video, please smash like, subscribe for more content, and if you do subscribe, be sure to hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload. I've been the Gaming Spinosaurus, you guys have been awesome, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye now, and may the Force be with you, always.